Hey, time travelers! It's the Historical Oracle, and today we're going to talk about St. Patrick. So, beyond snakes, shamrocks, the fact that he inspires parades, Irish themed decor, and copious amounts of alcohol consumption, what do we know about the guy? Well, unless you watched that one VeggieTales episode, you may not know much. So let's start with the obvious. St. Patrick was born in Ireland. No, just kidding. He was not. Half the things you probably think about history are a lie. No, he was a Roman citizen born in late 4th century Britain. His father's name was Calpurnius, and he was called Patricius. However, this probably wasn't his name. You see, Patricius comes from the Latin term pater, meaning father, and the patricians were the ruling class of the Roman kingdom and nobility of the Roman Republic and Empire, though their importance waned over time. From that word came the term patron. If you were a wealthy Roman, you could become the patron of a plebeian client and financially support them in exchange for services. You could also become the patron to a former slave that you decided to release. So, calling himself Patricius, because it is through his writings that we get the name, Patrick was probably considering himself a father or a patron figure to the Irish people. This is interesting considering how he got to Ireland. As a teenager, he was kidnapped and brought there as a slave, which makes the whole Patricius name kind of ironic. And when he gets there, that's where all the legendary stuff occurs. He drives all the snakes out of... No, wait, there were never snakes in Ireland to begin with. Oh, well, there was the time he used a shamrock to explain... No, it looks like that never happened either, but that's okay because there was the badass magical showdown between him and a group of Editor? That never happened either? What the hell, man? Just kidding. I don't have an editor. You can probably tell. So, yeah. Now, keep in mind, though his father was a deacon and his grandfather was a priest, Patrick himself was not a Christian at this point. But then, according to his writings, Patrick spent 6 years in Ireland as a slave, tending sheep, and it was during this time of forced servitude that he became a Christian, turning to his father's faith for comfort and strength. Then he has a dream that a ship has come to take him home, and with newfound hope, he escapes his master and heads back to Britain. But he gets there and he's still not home, really. He's just in the wilderness, probably the Scottish Highlands or something, and he's starving, just like all his friends who are on the ship with him. After Patrick prays, they encounter some wild boar, and they're like, well, that was convenient, and he's like, no, that's literally a miracle. Anyway, he gets home eventually and begins studying his newfound faith in more depth. And one night he has a vision, and I'll let him tell the story in his own words. I saw a man coming, as it were, from Ireland. His name was Victoricus, and he carried many letters, and he gave me one of them. I read the heading, The Voice of the Irish. As I began the letter, I imagined in that moment that I heard the voice of those very people who were near the wood of Foclut, which is beside the western sea. And they cried out, as with one voice, We appeal to you, holy servant boy, to come and walk among us. So, logically, Patrick is like, while clearly this message is veiled in symbolism, I have a hunch, and mind you, this is just my interpretation. I think the dream is saying to go to Ireland. So, that's what he does. And at this point, let's keep in mind that Patrick may have this Romano-British nationalism driving part of his agenda, the idea that the Irish people are a little more barbaric or primitive for their lack of Romanization. It's also important to note that Patrick did not introduce the Irish to Christianity. They already had some bishops and a congregation among them. They just weren't a Christianized people, i.e., it wasn't their official religion, and there was still a majority of pagans. So Patrick went to Ireland as a missionary, though there's nothing to say he attempted to make the people recognize Christianity as the one religion of the land. Mostly he just preached and baptized, converting as many people as he could. While he probably didn't use a shamrock to illustrate the Trinity, especially since there's nothing to say that the pagan Irish held the shamrock in any high or sacred regard, he may have used the themes of three that commonly appear in Celtic mythology as an anecdote. 3 was a holy number to the ancient Irish, with the number 39 being the most sacred, because it's 3 followed by 3 times 3. Patterns of 3 were common in their imagery, and some even worshipped triple deities, similar in concept to the Christian Trinity. So, while the Shamrock story is probably an exaggeration, At least it comes from some truth. Patrick didn't accept monetary gifts from kings and lawmakers, though he offered them. He was apparently threatened with martyrdom at least once. He seemed to have a genuine love for, if a somewhat misguided idea of, the Irish people. It's said that he died on the 17th of March, and so on that day, we celebrate St. Patrick, though really the day has become a celebration of Ireland and its culture. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to hit that like button, and for more trips down memory lane, subscribe to the Historical Oracle. Thanks for watching!